catch me in the spirit. I'm going to try to give you this word, but it's going to sound so niche. So for goodness, since I was 18 or 19 years old, I have been a writer outside of ministry and a journalist. And I started my career at the Christian Broadcasting Network, which sounds like a real far jump to start, but I never expected to find myself there. It wasn't something I woke up one day and thought that God would give me. It's just something I took a shot in the dark in. But I wanted to tell you that outside of ministry, I've spent my whole life having great relationships with my editors, my publishers, my agents, my publicists, my marketing team. Everybody that come through a book signing line. I tried so hard to keep such good relationships with my readers, with the people who employed me, with the people who would look at my manuscript and say, I want to publish that, with the people that would look at my book and say, I really want to read that. And relationships in any industry are so important, but especially in literature because it is so small. We might not all go to lunch together, we might not all call each other on the phone, and we may not know all of each other, but we are all separated by maybe only 2 degrees of people. Some way, some shape, some form, especially for your niche, like Christian literature. We're all going to know somebody who knows somebody. If I don't know the writer, I know the editor. If I don't know the editor, I know the publisher, and so on and so forth. Let me tell you why that's been important for me. So over the course of all of these years, I have published about 300 books traditionally and one on my own. And this was the latest one that I published on my own. You know what I learned then is that my publisher, my editor, my marketing team, my publicist, and everybody in the middle, the design team, everybody that formatted, were invaluable because it was so hard to do just me and an editor and a designer. It was so hard. I'm my own marketer. I'm my own publicist. I'm my own everything aside from the help that I've been given, and I'm so grateful for that help that come on board. But I learned how to work with them by the way I worked traditionally for so many years. When you are a children's writer, which is how I started out when I was writing books, I wrote mostly in South Korea. And my first series was called Two Little Ducks. And Two Little Ducks were Molly and Max, and they didn't ever get along because it was really about my kids. It was about my daughter and my son and how they'd fight over anything, even a daggum rock. It didn't matter what it was. And at the end of the whole thing, they'd get along and be best friends again. It ended up turning into a Korean television show and a little Korean YouTube series. And it was so fun. And because we didn't do royalties when we worked overseas, honey, I didn't see none of the cash that really came in. But it was so fun. And what I love most about that is it is so hard. It is so hard to get an illustrator to want to help you write your vision into their illustrations. Because I don't want nobody to tell me how to write. So I don't want to tell somebody how to paint or design or draw. But when you have a good relationship with somebody, you can ask anything. And they'll do it for you. Likewise, when they would have art and not know what to do with it or need a tagline, they'd be like, I don't know what to do. It'd be like, I got you, free of charge. I got you. And I know my value at that time, my price, I'm afraid to even say it here because marketing writing is expensive. I don't got time to do it anymore. I make preacher money now. But writing and good writing is so hard to find that it is well worth what you pay for it. You get what you pay for. And I explained that to you today because Hebrews 12:2 says that Jesus is the author and finisher of our faith. And if you know someone and you know your editor, you can pull a favor. If you know your illustrator, you can pull a favor. You can get away with a ton of ellipses. You can get away with asking for them to draw something a specific way. You can get away with asking a favor to extend a deadline, asking for help on something. Or you can have the ability to and the bravery to tell a designer, I don't like that. I don't like that cover. Even though what I really want to say, because you're my colleague and my friend, is I love that cover. When in my head I'm going, hate it. And we could be honest with each other. But when I think about going into the throne room boldly, I think about going into a publisher meeting boldly. Because I knew everybody got to a point where now we all know each other. And it's no longer a format letter of if they don't want the book. It's like, Brooke, we really love this and we really love you and we wish we could take it. We're just not taking on any titles like that this year. But we love to see you. I've read the whole thing in a weekend. Totally different relationship than when I started. When you go into the throne room, the Bible tells us to enter the throne room boldly, which means to pray in a bold fashion. Pray like God knows you. Pray like you can pull a favor. It'll change your life. If you need me through the week, you can find me at Brookekeithministries.com. And I wish that you would. I wish you'd come do a one-on-one with me. Tell me about your life and let's figure out how we can get that sucker moving a little more swiftly or a little more peacefully or whatever it is that you're trying to figure out in your life. You could find this wherever books are sold. And I hope that you have had the best week. Never forget that if you know the Lord, you can walk in the throne room boldly. You don't got to whine. You can if you want to. You don't got to throw yourself on the floor. You can if you want to. But you can just walk in and let him know what you need and expect that he's going to help you. Because that's what I do when I walk into a meeting. Or else I'm just walking in and I'm walking in blind. And I know better than that. And if I walk in and I act like none of them know me, that's going to be weird anyway because we've known each other for 22 years. You know God and he knows you. Enter the throne room boldly and watch your prayer life change.